This is the manpower module of the software. Now here we're going to be making a new category. The name is technician. We're going to put an invoice price of 26, and that's about it. Now we're going to be making a new employee, or inputting a new employee. So here you shouldn't actually put in the name. You should put in the code for that employee. We're going to correct that right here. You should put the name there. You can select the company, the department, the where he'll be working, and more importantly, the category for that specific employee. And then you can fill out the rest of the information. It's quite basic. Click create and it will create it for you. You can go back to the menu, and here we're going to be making a contract for that employee. So we're going to go to contract, click create, not create, click the employee, you select the employee you want, select the supplier, so it's going to be supplied from somewhere else, and here you can put in the number of hours, and you have to fill in both overtime rates. This is not your own employee, it's from outside, so you have to fill out both overtime rates. And if you don't, it won't let you create the invoice. After you've done that, you can click create and it'll create it for you. Now we're going to be making the pay. Go to new pay, select the employee there, and you don't have to put in the basic because you have already put in the because this is not actually your own employee. Now we're going to be making a different type of employee. This is going to be an employee which will be in-house. It's not going to be from a different supplier. It's going to be our own employee. Now here we're going to be filling in all of the same information as before, except this is not going to be from from a supplier. It's our own domestic employee. So this is the same as before. You have to fill in all of this information for a new employee. Click create, and it'll create a new employee for you. Now here we're going to be making the contract for this employee. So so here's the difference, and you don't have to fill in the overtime rate. You can keep this empty because it's our own employee. Now when we make the payment for this employee, here we can put in the basic for this employee, since this is, and we don't have to put in the rates. Now we're going to be looking at payment per month of employees. So now we're going to first we're going to be going to time attendance, and see the total attendance for every single employee. We can change the total hours, the number of the total overtime, the vacation, as well as the vacation. Here we're only going to be changing the total hours and the total overtime, and once you update this, we can check in the salary calculation. Everything updates here, so you can see the salary update, and everything's here. Any changes you make will be reflected here. Now we're going to be making an invoice. So here you can select the customer. Now here you can see a list of categories. Now here we can select, for example, technician. There was one technician, so 160 hours. Helper, there were 2 helpers, I believe, so you get a total of 520 hours, and so on. And the invoice, you can see it here. Now here we're going to be making an invoice for another customer. Now here he has no plumbers or any electrician, so the hour/days comes as 0. But he did have helpers, or at least I think 1. So we're going to have an invoice for that. So you can choose from there, and then you can go back to the list here. Again, another customer. See, he doesn't. He only has, I believe, an electrician. Yeah, an electrician. Now you can turn the invoice into a PDF. And that's about it. Now for the employees from outside, we're going to be making a purchase invoice. Now here we're going to be selecting the supplier, or customer rather, and then we're going to be deleting the now here all of the employees will come, so we're going to be deleting the ones that we don't want to make an invoice for. So just go down here and click delete, and it'll delete them. Now all that remains is to just fill out the rest of the invoice, and that's about it. Now you can actually, from the profit tab, you can actually see how much profit each employee brings. So you can see the salary, the expenses, income, and the total cost, and the profit. It'll all show up for every employee too. Now we're going to be making a payment voucher. This is going to be for the expenses for an employee. For example, here it will be for the renewal of an employee's iqama. So we're going to select the person, we're going to put in the account number, and the particulars will come up. It'll come up on this list. You can select it, and here, and it'll show you where the credit is coming from. Cash on hand in this example. And I'll click create. Now there could be other expenses. So here it could be, for example, transportation, or just just other miscellaneous expenses. You can select the employee you want, and simply debit will be the particle, and the credit will be from the cash on hand. And we can select multiple expenses. So for example, we can select here, another expense would be transportation. Then it'll come up in the profit margins, so you can see it comes up in expenses, and it'll come up for the particular employee, his expenses. It'll show up, and yeah. Now I'm going to be going to the statement of account. It will give you a complete picture of every single business account you have. So now you can go to a specific business account and go to the statement option. It will give you information on all of its transactions, and you can go to an individual invoice and check the details of that individual invoice. So you get a complete picture from this one place, as you can see. And that's about it.